You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Hi there and welcome. I'm Green Irene and you are tuned in to the Fibro Fight series live here on the Pace Radio Network. I have a few announcements to begin today's show with. First, I'd like to thank all of you for sharing your comments and sending in your questions. They've been great. Furthermore, I'd really like to encourage you to continue doing so. Even though the format of the show is changing, starting today, each episode is recorded live, then scheduled for airing. Starting next week, the show will begin broadcasting at a new time. That'll be Fridays at noon. In fact, most days at noon, you can find me hosting a show on Pace. Yeah. Tune in on Tuesdays at noon for some THC Talk Time, which is a unique new cannabis adventure talk show. I'm going to be exploring the fledgling cannabis industry. I'm going to meet with some of the people in the world and businesses of recreational, medical, cannabis, as well as industrial hemp. I'm going to be visiting some dispensaries and talking with doctors and dentists. I'm going to be maybe mentioning a few events and so much more. You can find out using the hashtag THC Talk Time on social media. On Wednesdays, you can learn about the ancient art of combining cannabis with meditation or creative visualizations. Yeah, it's a guided meditation midweek, and you can experience a truly remarkable transposition in the mind, the body, and the soul. I talk a little bit about the history and profile of a specific spotlighted strain of the week, and then we engage in a guided meditation. And of course, Fridays at noon, starting next week, the Fibro Fight series. This is when warriors like yourself can tune in and learn some really cool tips, some techniques, and some strategies for fighting fibromyalgia, living a life that you love in spite of chronic dis-ease, illness, or symptoms that need to be battled. That said, let's get on with today's content. If you have ever felt like your head was going to explode from loud noises or bright lights that were flashing and piercing through your brain, either are flashing or just bright, if you become extremely overwhelmed by crowds or parties with music and mixed chatter, if you find yourself overwhelmed by the bright flashing lights, too many sounds and smells all at once, or the taste of something is really, really big or strong, or, chances are you have experienced or been experiencing some level of sensory overload. When it becomes a problem is, here, the bottom line is here. The thing is when your brain receives more input from your five senses than it can actually process or organize, you may experience sensory overload. And maybe you can't focus on what's happening around you. You become restless or wound up. I become very, very anxious. And if you're like me, you could also feel the need to close your eyes or cover your ears. Bottom line is you just want to escape the situation. And what's more, it can take an awful lot of energy to process all of that sensory stimuli, which leaves you really tired and foggy. It's just exhausting and can be quite debilitating. In fact, someone I've worked with, Tina, said she was diagnosed about 16 years ago with fibromyalgia, and she says that her symptoms flare when she's exposed to loud noises or bright flashing lights. She says it gets really overwhelming at times, and then it becomes debilitating. She has to hide from the world. She says when the symptoms merge all together, and because of the fatigue and the brain fog, life just becomes a maze of sheer confusion. And honestly, that is what being overwhelmed and overstimulated genuinely feels like. Many people living with fibromyalgia report that chronic pain and tenderness, of course, as we well know, but there's also an increased sensitivity to touch or to pressure. There's increased sensitivities to loud noises and sounds and unpleasant smells and temperature changes, some flavors. And there is an inability to maintain cohesive cognitive thinking patterns. We're incapable of processing the data. There's just so much coming at us all at once that we either can't focus on one piece, or we focus so much on everything that everything just becomes a jumble. And the bottom line is people with fibromyalgia are much more likely to report intense, unpleasant responses to sounds, smells, tastes, tactile sensations, general information overload. It's very, very overwhelming. Sensory overload can make you feel panicky. It can make you really confused, feel exceptionally overwhelmed, and it can result from a variety of different things. Bottom line is the triggers can vary from one of us to another and be very, very different. It's genuinely a symptom. It's a symptom that can have a significant effect on your daily life. It can stop you from doing a lot of the things that you genuinely enjoy doing. There's been some imaging studies that were done, and they've provided visual depictions of the altered response to sensations compared to that of a healthy brain. In some respects, the brains of people with fibro are hyper-responsive to even the possibility of pain. So just thinking that you might have pain or discomfort can make your brain overreact and respond. So, really, what can we do to address a problem that might stem from the brain's wiring? Well, after we hear a couple of messages, after we hear from all of our sponsors, we're going to hear a couple of messages. When we get back, I'm going to give you some answers. I'm going to give you some cool tips, some tools, and share with you some techniques that really help me, and ideally they will help you as well. We'll be back in less than 4 minutes.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Who has huge buds? You do. If you shop at BMA Hydroponics, attend one of BMA's educational seminars and learn the secrets of growing, harvesting, processing, and consuming quality cannabis and cannabis products. Learn how to make better extracts, edibles, and medicinal creams at prices you can afford. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive, Belleville, or call 613-967-9888.
The only way to go. Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CP.
Catch the Reefer Reporters Mondays and Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, live here on the Pace Radio Network.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Welcome back. Before the break, I said I would be sharing with you some tips, tools, techniques, that sort of thing. Fibromyalgia symptoms that overstimulate one or all of your senses can make every day a struggle. And when you experience difficulty managing your sensitivities, you may be tempted to stay home and avoid socializing or being outside. This is not a good strategy in the long run, not by any stretch of the creative imagination. Instead, it's really important to develop some strategies that are going to limit your exposure to certain triggers. Some other strategies that'll help you manage your symptoms when they are triggered, and learn some techniques and become skilled at using those techniques for coping with fibromyalgia symptoms that spill over into handling conditions like sensory overload. The bottom line is you want to learn how to live a life that you love to live, right? Okay. Let's get there. Some tools and techniques that I use. Hypnosis and meditation, in particular, have been instrumentally helpful, as well as NLP and cannabis. So the sensory overload relief that can be achieved just through hypnosis and meditation is absolutely awesome. It helps to manage the condition simply by retraining the unconscious mind to respond differently to triggering stimuli. NLP is a useful, very powerful tool or method, depending on what you want to call it, that influences the behavior of the brain. Hence, neuro, using language, linguistic, among other forms of communication, that allows one person to recode the brain's response to stimuli. In other words, reprogram it. These processes actually allow manifestation of new and often much better behaviors or habits, including how we respond to external stimuli. Cannabis, thanks to loads of research, we know that it's possible to prevent heightened sensory perceptions. And the most effective way or step is by consuming a strain that is extremely high in CBD content and significantly lower in THC. Notably, a 1-to-1 is great for aiding meditation practice as well as hypnosis treatments and decreasing the anxiety or panic that is associated with sensory overload, with the sensory overload. If you want to learn more, try hypnosis treatment, develop NLP skills, or simply how to use cannabis for sensory overload. Book a call with me. It's free. You can book it with me at www.greenirene.ca. Look for the discovery call. Click there. This guarantees my undivided attention for that period of time, which is why I request that you book that call. And here's the thing. There is no specific treatment for sensory overload. It really is as unique to you as your central nervous system, okay? Generally, in treatment, my aim is to help people dealing with sensory overload be able to plan for themselves and manage their reactions. That's ultimately the goal. If we examine these experiences, of what brings on a sensory overload, and we examine each of them carefully, sometimes we can even find out exactly what it is that we're unconsciously doing in our minds that makes it possible. It can make, and when we learn that, we can teach it to others. So for instance, just to give you an idea, tunnel vision, sorry, I didn't mean to, should I have bounced out? Yeah, okay. For instance, tunnel vision is a problem in many contexts, but it is a skill that can reduce. The thing is, if we examine these experiences carefully, like the reactions that we have during previous to or during a sensory overload, the thing is, if we examine experiences carefully, sometimes we can even find out exactly why unconsciously we do what we do in our minds. So, using something like NLP and hypnosis, we can easily use that skill to recreate that and change it. So, for example, tunnel vision, if it's a problem which is a problem in many different contexts, but it's also a skill that can reduce the visual input that that causes stimulation. So if you can imagine a tunnel with black surroundings through which you can only see what you are focusing on, or you can zoom in on what's relevant so that it occupies most of your visual field, overlapping and obscuring anything else going on, you could actually defocus the surroundings and reduce that visual overload. If it's an auditory input that's just too much for you to handle, you can imagine being in a transparent, soundproof room. And if you want to hear just one sound source, you can imagine having a directional microphone and headphones that allow you to do that. You can do all of this in hypnosis And using NLP, we use the same words that your subconscious mind learns how to relate to and learn from the quickest. So if you can imagine having ears that rotate in different directions, the same way that like a horse's does, for example, or you can imagine a force field that surrounds you like a heavy curtain and muffles all the sounds except for what you want to hear. These are just things that we introduce in a hypnotic treatment. Recently, I was at a table with a bunch of other people, and I was talking to two of them that were across from me. And the two on the other side of me were also talking quite loudly to each other. I found that what I had to do was get an image of the two different conversations. And as there were two different lines between the people speaking, so I had a line going this way and a line going that way. So like, okay, hold on. You guys get it, right? Okay. Somehow visualizing these two conversations as lines, bottom line, made it easier for me to attend to one of the conversations or focus on the one line versus focusing on both of them. It just helps. So there's different tools and techniques that we can do. And that's something I've created in my brain. So that conversation is actually a physical line now for me. And we've all had those times when we disregarded the kinesthetic sensations. That's the touch, feel, tactile sensations. You know, for example, when we're caught up in watching a movie or something, we'll forget about, we don't feel the seat that we're sitting in necessarily. Ever get up from and go, oh, ow, you know, that fell asleep, because we stopped paying attention to the physical kinesthetic sensations. We can do this by choice, just by programming that into our brain through hypnosis, using NLP. And how cool is that? Right? Okay. So becoming less aware of whatever you had been attending to previously. For an example, in an emergency, you may become oblivious to the pain that you're experiencing. Right? Okay. It's also important that we reduce internal input. There may also be a lot going on inside of your mind during an experience of overwhelmness. So there are two different ways that reduce overwhelming. That is two ways that are almost always useful. So no matter what the content of your thoughts are, one is to slow down your internal tempo. Basically, you allow events to unfold more slowly so that you have time to process them. It's kind of like adding a time warp to your brain so that we literally put things into slow mode. You can do this whether you're doing it in the visual or the auditory or even the kinesthetic. Just basically slow things down. When events are slowed down, the amount of information you have to process decreases significantly, and it'll be much easier to process than it is in whichever way is appropriate. The other main way to reduce overwhelm is to put some distance between you and those mental events. So this is a trick that I do often. If you're inside of a large, bright, colorful, loud movie of events that you're attending to, so for example, everything's just happening and you feel like it's all happening inside of your head and it's all loud and very, very overwhelming and very, very, very busy, these strong feelings will occupy a lot of your attention, and that will make it very, very difficult to deal with anything on its own. So allow that to recede. Push the movie away until it's a comfortable distance from you, as though you're watching it on a tiny screen up on the dashboard of your car, for example. Move it away from you. That way it becomes less intense, it's smaller, and you can give your attention easier. You quickly scan through the movie, determine which events are relevant to you, which can be ignored, at least temporarily. This makes it a lot easier to focus on one aspect of the movie at a time, dividing it into smaller parts, if you will. So turning all of it into a movie and moving it away from you really helps. Using cannabis strains like Harlequin, AC/DC, Jack Hare, Pardon me. Jack Hare. So use, where was I? Okay, so use Harlequin, ACDC, Jack Hare. These are really high CBD strains or more 1-to-1. They have significantly lesser percentages of THC, which will help you desensitize and relax without an over-the-top euphoria. You can also incorporate cannabis into your hypnosis and meditation techniques. Again, join me on Wednesday and try it out. Try the cannabis. Listen to the creative visualization and see how that feels for you. Moving on. It's really important to know your triggers. Keeping a journal and planning ahead to have tools handy and a plan of action for in the event of any type of situations really helps. Avoiding your triggers as much as you can to control your environment so that you can limit any potential causes of discomfort. So it's important to be active. Exercise as part of fibromyalgia treatment may often offset pain and minimize the tender points of sensitivity. So walking outside is really ideal, but if you're sensitive to things like temperature changes, lights, or different smells, and any other sensations for that matter, try starting a walking program inside of your home or at the gym, even if you can go to the gym, if you're interested in going to the gym. There's also some important general coping strategies to be mindful of. Things like preparing yourself for stimulating or overstimulating activities. Take preemptive rests before attending a birthday party or show. Even more important, give yourself permission to temporarily remove yourself from busy situations at the first sign of sensory overload. It's important to schedule alone time. If you're easily overloaded, you probably need some quiet time each day to wind down and recharge. Don't overschedule. And plan plenty of rest in between appointments and activities. Having regular routines may also help you to be in the best shape possible mentally to help prevent sensory overload. Practice meditation and mindfulness. It's very helpful to fall back on these calming techniques when your senses get overwhelmed. You can learn how to do relaxing breathing techniques and take mindful micro breaks throughout the day. If you want some help with this, again, book a discovery call with me or schedule an appointment with me. You can do any of that at www.greenirene.ca. Moving on. Reducing your overall stress levels is absolutely essential. Making time to wind down with soothing activities like going for a walk through the bush. You know, the pinene is really, really good for our mental wellness. Take a warm bath. Have a cannabis-infused bath salts in a bath. Get out some adult coloring books. There's, the thing is there's all kinds of things that you can do to reduce your overall stress levels, and it's very important to helping to reduce sensory overload flare-ups. It's also important to optimize your surroundings at home. Look into the best lighting for you and decorate with neutral colors. Reducing clutter can also help you avoid sensory overload. Kids who are sensitive to sensory overload may enjoy sitting on a beanbag chair that takes the shape of their body. I know I do. I'm not a kid, but I still enjoy it. Make sure that rest is a priority. Being well rested may not stop sensory overload from happening, but it does help you to better deal with it if you struggle to get enough sleep. You could try weighted blankets. simulate a comforting hug, for lack of a better term. And this sensory tool is often recommended for anxiety and autism as well. It does help. Okay. Yeah, this is an important thing. Don't handle large groups of people very well? Then meet up one-on-one with your friends and choose a quiet venue. You could also ask someone over to your house to avoid unnecessary input, right? Like sensory input, I mean. Listening to someone talk nonstop can be tiring, especially in a room filled with people. So try to avoid making conversation while doing something else, because multitasking requires even more brain power.
If possible, seriously, take frequent sensory breaks. Stretch your legs, get some fresh air, or hide out in the bathroom if you need to, even if it's just for a few minutes. Heck, you can even use that time to meditate. Just make sure that you're well rested and well fed before going out. Because being tired, stressed, and hungry can make you all the more susceptible to a sensory overload. Something to keep in mind, you can replace FOMO with JOMO. Yeah, FOMO, meaning fear of missing out. Replace it with JOMO, the joy of missing out. Yeah, the bottom line is you don't have to sign up for every activity, nor say yes to every invitation. Instead, simply prioritize which activities you really want to do and do them. Next, let's talk about these busy shops or restaurants and any other public place you go. For me, it's grocery stores. They're a nightmare. I like to avoid crowded places. Don't join the Black Friday craziness. Don't go to a busy beach on a sunny holiday. Basically, when planning an activity, pick a time and day when it's likely to be quiet. Less noise, less distractions, and less lines. It's important to come prepared when you go to a grocery store. Make a list of what you want to buy. Go speed shopping. I love speed shopping. I'm a super speed shopper. The bottom line is, instead of aimlessly wandering through the aisles, take a more goal-oriented approach and save the mental energy. If you're highly sensitive to sensory overload while shopping, the internet really can be your best friend. Another tip, put on your sunglasses. Wear some protection when you're going outdoors. Wear reusable earplugs at the movie theater. It could really help reduce the amount of sensory input coming at you. I also found it was very good to have those earplugs in windy weather. It made a big difference. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Find a quiet. Remember to remove yourself from any situation where you start to get overloaded. Find a quiet spot or a retreat or a retreat. You can even go to your car if you need to wind down and recharge. Now, let's talk about work. Yeah, this is always a challenge for a lot of people. If you work in an office, there are a few ways that you can minimize sensory overload. First of all, set up your desk in a quiet corner with your boss's permission. If you have control over your work hours, consider coming in early when it's still quiet, or staying late after everyone else has left. You could also put on a noise-canceling set of headphones when you have to do focus work. Finally, you can discuss working from home, maybe one day a week or a couple of days a month, something like that. You never know. The boss may be into it, and it will help prevent sensory overload for sure. On another note, don't keep too many tabs open, neither on your screen nor in your brain. Multitasking requires a lot of brain power and leaving you with less capacity to process sensory input. Take brain recharging breaks. Absolutely essential. Not all employers are going to recognize, respect, or acknowledge this. But honestly, you can't crank out high quality work for 8 hours straight. It's really advisable to stop approximately every 2 hours and take a 3 to 5 minute break. To be actually productive, your mind and body really need time to recharge. Alternate your mentally stimulating work with more physical breaks, like a short walk or even do some stretches at your desk. Sensory overload can feel overwhelming, but identifying coping mechanisms that work for you will put you back in control. When you're experiencing sensory overload, there is nothing wrong with removing yourself from the situation to cut down the stimulation your brain is dealing with. Learning how sensory overload works for your specific condition can genuinely help you to prevent and manage sensory overload. But remember that everyone is unique, and what triggers or helps others may or may not work for you. You have to find out what does. It's also important to be aware that every situation is slightly different. Sometimes it may feel like there's no logic at all. Like, why were you able to handle a concert well, but the background noise in the restaurant today is driving you crazy? Well, let's take a closer look. For example, maybe it's because you have to multitask and juggle conversations with your dinner companions in the midst of many distractions in the restaurant. Whereas last week, you could fully focus on the music at the concert. Details like the acoustics, the seating, all of that could have made a huge difference. So, in the end, you don't have complete control over your sensory input, but hopefully, these coping strategies give you the tools to stop sensory overload in its tracks. I'd really love to know what your best tricks are, what kind of tools and techniques you use to prevent or manage sensory overload, if you have any, in any sort of situation. Please share your thoughts in the comments or send an email to me at info@greenirene.ca. And on that note, I'd really like to say thank you for tuning in today. Remember, you can book a free discovery call with me anytime via the website. For more information on how to help you, be sure to visit www.greenirene.ca. Thank you. Please like and share this video and others with your friends, family, and coworkers. Don't forget to comment, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe at the Pace Radio Network as well as Green Irene's THC. And on that note, till next week at noon, I'm Green Irene saying be happy, get healthy, keep lit, and stay strong. Ciao for now.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
Let's share PACE everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CP.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
We are people advocating cannabis education.